Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Luna.
And I'm Joe, and this is Stories with the Stoles. Today we're going to be showing you guys, I guess, our very first build for this channel. It's a simple project with just a few tools. You can do it, you can replicate it, you can make something similar that's not exactly the same, or you can make something totally different. This is a pretty easy to follow plan that will help you make a lot of different things out of the same basic materials. So
even I could do it.
The thing that we're building is this hallway. What did we decide to call it?
A wall-mounted coat rack.
A wall-mounted coat rack.
Yep, that. We're making that. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you guys enjoy this video.
Without further ado.
First, the materials that you're going to need. You're going to need whatever color stain you want, polyurethane, a drill, an impact driver, a circular saw, but you can also use any kind of saw really. A hand saw. I actually used a miter saw in this video. A sander and the corresponding sanding discs. Some microfiber cloths. You can buy a bunch of these for very cheap at any hardware store. A stud finder, which I'll talk about a little bit later on. Driving bits for the impact driver. Drill bits for the drill, obviously. A square, also known as a carpenter square. A pencil. You don't necessarily have to use the carpenter's pencil like I use. Just any kind of pencil will do fine. A tape measure. A level. A hammer. Some foam brushes. Whatever hardware you want to use on your project or your build. And a screwdriver. And of course, for safety's sake, you won't see us use any of these in this video. But if you're trying to be cautious, obviously gloves, safety glasses, and ear protection. You have all your tools set aside. The first step is to go ahead and measure the space where you're going to be mounting your shelf and figure out what length you want it to be. For this project, we used a 1x6 and a 1x10. So you have your measurements. You can go ahead and cut them. Here you can see me use a miter saw, carpenter square, and a pencil to measure out each piece down to size. For those cut down, it's important that you sand. Now here you can see us using an electric orbital sander. This, especially for something this small, this could definitely be done with just regular sandpaper or sanding blocks if you don't have an electric sander. For bigger projects, electric sanders come in really handy, but for something this small, it'd be really easy to just do it with regular sanding blocks or sandpaper. We started with an 80 grit rough sandpaper and moved all the way up to a 150 grit. You could definitely go smoother than that if you wanted, all the way up to 220 or 320, somewhere in there. Make sure once you're all done sanding that you wipe off all the dust. You got all the sanding done and everything wiped off. Started staining. That's where these microfiber cloths come in. These are my favorite thing to use to apply stain, and yes, you just have to throw the rags away afterwards, but I mean, you could even do this with like a dirt, something you're okay with throwing away and that's not gonna get any kind of lint or anything like that onto your wood, because you don't want that to get stuck in the stain. Chose a really dark stain. If you choose a lighter stain and you don't necessarily like how light it is, you can definitely do multiple coats. So some people, when using pine and stuff, would prefer to use a wood conditioner. We chose not to do that. A wood conditioner just gives you sometimes a little bit more even finish on it. Then after the stain dries, apply your polyurethane. We just did one coat. I know it's recommended sometimes that you do at least 2, maybe 3 coats. It's really just personal preference. It's kind of just to waterproof the wood, and so if it's something you're worried about getting wet, definitely take that into account. This one, because it's going to be hanging on the wall, we weren't that concerned. That poly dries, you can put it all together. We used 2.5-inch wood screws coming from the back to fasten the two pieces together. Remember to pre-drill your holes. Once you get the two pieces put together, we went ahead and attached our hardware. So we put 4 hooks as well as coffee hooks to hang this little basket for like mail and stuff. And now we're all done.
Okay, the last thing you have to do is you have to mount this guy. You want to mount it to the studs. The other option is you can use drywall anchors, but those put big holes in your wall and they're just not always your best option. So you want to try and find the studs. There's a couple options and you'll hear lots of different opinions on the best way to do this. If you can, get a good stud finder. I mean, they make good ones. This one is not good. Another way that you'll see some people is you just use like a finish nail, a really thin nail, and a hammer and just test a bunch of spots. The other thing that you can do is get out a tape measure, and because this is right by a corner, the standard when framing houses is that studs are either 16 or 24 inches apart. So I know that there's a stud in this corner for sure. If I measure 16 inches from here, it's telling me that right here along this wall, there should be a stud. You can test that with a nail, which I'll do right now. And you'll know fairly quickly. It didn't just go straight through drywall. There's definitely something behind here that it's hitting. There's an electrical outlet that's mounted to a stud right in the middle of this wall. I don't want to electrocute myself, but I will be able to mount to the next one 16 inches over. And then there's also one where this door is. Obviously can't mount to that because the door frame's here. And again, I found the stud right there. So that's where I'm going to put my mounting screws.
Once you're all done finding where you're going to mount it, it's time to go ahead and mount it. We used 2.5-inch actually cabinet mounting screws. These are black because it just kind of blends in with the dark finish that we use.
If you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see in the future, leave that in a comment below. Or anything you would do differently in this project, also leave that in a comment. If there's materials that you would have used or suggestions that you might have, like I said, we're in our first video, we're by no means professionals at this, so we're always open to learning more about what we're doing wrong.
We hope you guys enjoyed this video. We hope that if you do decide to carry about this project on your own, tag us in it, keep us updated. It'd be cool to see what you guys come up with, and as always, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time.